everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I'm Sean. This is In The Mix, episode number 29 of our Pentagon Challenge. If you didn't watch last week's episodes, where have you been? Go back and check those ones out. They're going to bring you up to date with where we're up to in the series and hopefully add a little bit to the story as it continues on, because we've got another huge episode coming up. We're hitting a new continent. We've got up there in that corner that fantastic Asian Champions League trophy, the first one populated in this series so far. We're going to make the jump to Africa, hopefully get our next continental triumph in the books relatively early as well, but I think we've got a bit of a marathon ahead of us. So let's jump straight in and see how we've gone. Of course, for those of you that didn't watch the last episode, again, I don't know what's wrong with you guys, but we did actually resign from our job at Guangzhou Evergrande. We are in the game world, I think about a week further on from that, on the 4th of January 2036, which means that we have taken that league back out. We will start working towards some of the North American divisions in the next few seasons if we can, hopefully, fingers and toes crossed, get everything sorted in Africa relatively quickly. So we're going to add those in from basically start dates of next season. And if things go fantastically well and within 12 months we've got those jobs available to us, or we've picked up a Champions League in South Africa, which would be the absolute dream, we can pretty much transition straight across to one of Canada, Mexico, or the US as we continue our kind of travels around the world. It's a little bit back and forward at the moment, but it'll all make sense once we get to South America and then to Europe as the next couple. Now, relating to South Africa, they've kind of been up and down. They're up into the top 30 at the moment of the world rankings, which is excellent to see. National side doing well in the Cup of Nations and qualifying for World Cups, which is great to see. They've got a good mixture of players playing in Europe that potentially we might be able to try and bring back. They've got a guy playing at Shenyang Urban, a 19-year-old. That's crazy. So weird how these things like overlap. We have switched our currency over to be South African Rand, which again, it looks similar to yuan. It's inflated on, the regular pound, euro stuff that you guys will see. Biggest clubs, obviously, Orlando Pirates and the Kaiser Chiefs both have representatives. Mamelodi Sundowns are also a big club, but a good amount of players that are playing in different regions around the world that potentially we could look to try and bring back once we do get ourselves a role in a club. And they've got some talented under-23s wanted by a few different clubs in and around the place, particularly a lot of players making the jump to China at the moment. Good few in the under-20s as well that look like they're decent teenage prospects coming through. So it looks like the country itself is doing really well. As far as the Premier Division is concerned, and we haven't loaded in the First Division, this is the current standings at the start of January. So Pirates are on top, Cosmos are in the second Champions League spot, Kaiser Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns are down in third and fourth respectively. If we look at the season preview itself, Kaiser Chiefs, Orlando Pirates are the biggest two clubs in the country. You can say that they dominate like the media Dream 11. They're very heavily favourite in terms of the odds to actually go through. Sundowns are third at $4.33, and then there's a big drop to the likes of Supersport United, Bloemfontein Celtic, and Cape Town. Is that City? Cape Town Spurs, sorry. Cape Town City is further down. I don't want to do the mid-table thing anymore, and I don't want to be competing against teams higher in the division. I want to try and get through Africa relatively quickly, given how long it took us in Asia. So we're just probably going to focus on trying to get one of the big three jobs, which I'm going to say Kaiser Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, and Mamelodi Sundowns. I think that makes the most sense for the series, and I think it'll make the most interesting pretty quickly being able to compete at a Champions League level. I haven't ever won the African Champions League before in Football Manager, so we'll probably have to learn that competition a little bit. It might take us a couple of seasons. We'll see how we go. But because of that, because we're only really looking at three jobs, they're all pretty stable at the moment. Sundowns is stable. Orlando Pirates is very secure, so they are looking in good shape. And Kaiser Chiefs is relatively secure as well. If Kaiser Chiefs and Sundowns stay outside of that top two for much longer, I'm curious if that will change, which could be very interesting. But really, I think I'm only going to apply for one of these three jobs, which may mean that we're in for a really long haul in terms of being unemployed, given that they are currently secure. It could take 12 months, could take 18 months, could take 2 years. I'm not sure, but I think what we're going to try and do in today's episode is jump forward as much as possible in increments of time to see when these jobs come up, try and get ourselves interviews for those positions, and then potentially take on those roles and move up. If we go too far, if we get beyond 12 months, then maybe we'll start having a look at these kind of secondary jobs, these like club rating teams that are just behind them, like Bloemfontein Celtic, like Supersport United, like Jomo Cosmos, like Cape Town, Amazulu, all that sort of stuff. But for now, we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to go after the big three. couple of people have asked previously, and I always forget to do it, what our profile looks like at the moment. Of course, they're saying it's route 1. I don't think that is necessarily the case, to be honest, and 4-2-3-1 wide. I don't think that's fantastic. Characteristics, reputation is growing. It is up to 60%, which is fantastic with that Champions League win last time out. Media handling only 25%. That's fair because I let all my assistants do it. If you don't let your assistants do it when you're 16 years into a save, like, I don't know what sort of level of patience you've got. Tactical consistency and hands-on approach, both 100%, which is fantastic. I'm fluent in English, Chinese, and Cantonese, which is interesting. We're known for attacking football, a high-tempo pressing game, signing younger players and signing much younger players. A few other things in there about being strict disciplinarian, which I'm not entirely sure on, but maybe that has more to do with like the code of conduct we set at the start of each season. It is pretty aggressive. I am Continental A license now. I can get that up to Continental Pro, which I think pushes me up to like 3.5, 4 stars potentially. And maybe once we get that, it starts to become an easier transition for us to really get linked with the top jobs. Relationships, not much to speak of. Pretty close with a few different players that we've managed throughout the course of the series. Some of them will disappear now that we have taken those divisions out of the league itself. Of course, dominated by Chinese players throughout the course of that history. A couple of Singaporean, Malaysian players in there from earlier on in the series. And not that many rivals, just a few different players in there for different clashes throughout the course of our history so far. Milestones to date, back to Felder for that initial season. We finished as Malaysian Premier League champions, got promoted, made the jump across to Singapore into the top division there. We were champions and then won the Singapore Cup. Community Shield and Premier League champions, our first Asian Champions League group stage stuff with Hugang. 2024 won pretty much everything there was to win in Singapore before making the jump to China. Took us a while with Wuhan to get out of the Chinese National First Division. Didn't actually do that with them. That was a big battle. Made the jump to Shenyang Urban, got promoted at the first time of asking, stayed in the Super League for a few seasons, got as high as second in the Super League in 2033, and then we made the jump to Guangzhou, where we, of course, finished Super League champions 2 seasons in a row, won the FA Cup as well in our first season, and then last year, a quadruple winning year with our first Asian Champions League triumph. So we've gone through quite a bit. Like, that's quite a big section of time from 2021 all the way through to 2035, but that does happen, I guess, when you start from scratch with no coaching badges, no experience, anything like that. You do have different spells where you kind of stay unemployed for a little bit, and that kind of shows with the different gaps between certain jobs that you can kind of see throughout that history. But I'm pleased with how it's all going so far. Not a lot else to run through, so we are just kind of jump forward incrementally in time. You might see some big gaps or some big jumps forward in the date up here in the top right corner, but we might move forward until one of these 3 big jobs becomes available, or we'll check back in 12 months towards the start of January 2037. All right, so welcome back. We're about 6 months further ahead or 5 months further ahead from where we just left off. It's the 2nd of June, 2036, and the first of the big 3 has fallen. So Mamelodi Sundowns have parted ways with their manager. If we have a look at them, they're not terrible, to be honest. They are losing a couple of players. They've got a few players that are interested in moves to the big 2, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. But they have won leagues previously. They did win in 2021, 2022, 2025, 2034 is their most recent one, but they've always kind of been up around the top 2 or 3 spots. So they've got a really good record. Their squad isn't like brilliant. There's a couple of young players in here. There's a couple of high wage players in there. So their striker, this guy Martin Zwane, I'd assume is one of the better ones in the division. We'd learn more about him once we took the role. Value-wise, they've got some decent players in there as well. 24 years of age, so their best football you'd think is still ahead of them. They are an entirely African-based squad, so no international players to speak of. One Zimbabwean player is really their only import that I can see. They're currently sitting 4th in the division, so the playoff mini-league, again, I don't know what any of this is. So there's the league table for 30 games played this season, which they actually finished 4th, which probably explains why the manager's been sacked. Only 4 points off top, though, which is interesting. Kaizer Chiefs win as champions again. Then there's the first period, second period. So like they've got these weird little breakdowns of how the league season has gone. The 4th period, Cosmos was apparently the best team. Playoff mini league, Amazulu Sporting and Uthungathi. I believe that's to stay in the division. Amazulu finishing in the 2nd from bottom spot. See, I'm not sure what those periods represent. Maybe they're a different type of trophy. Maybe you get something for that. But we'd effectively be looking to try and take Sundowns back to the top of the winners list in the next season. I think we'd actually get a full off-season with them as well, which would be... It's not bad as far as timing is concerned. So we are going to apply for that job. The Sundowns board have received our application. We've been linked with the role in the media, so that has leaked immediately. And we might as well just respond and just say it'd be a fantastic opportunity. And let's see if we can get ourselves an interview. In good news, the fans see me as being a leading candidate. So that's fantastic to see. All right, so it took nearly a month. We're at the 5th of July now after being on the 5th of June, I think it was, when the fans said I was a leading candidate. They finally offered me an interview, so let's go and see how this one goes. Pleased that I've joined. I'm glad that they've given me a chance to talk. That's good. I can learn the language relatively quickly. That's not a problem. They've got reservations because I've never managed in the country. That's ridiculous. They've said that we receive a large amount of media retention and your media handling has been dubious to say the least. Why is that the case? I'm going to say I don't think it matters how I deal with the media as long as I get results on the pitch, which is fair. Because let's be honest, I'm just going to have my assistant do it. Like, I'm not going to change any of that. Confident of getting every target. They do have continental reps, so I'd assume they want to try and get league titles. I'm happy to work with Steve Shabalala, who looks like he's a regen director of football. That's no problem. Now, this is what they want. They want to strive to make progress on and off the pitch as part of their club culture. Their 5-year plan is to work within wage budget. Okay, I can try and figure that out maybe. Maintain the best youth system in the country. That's an interesting one. Qualify for the African Confederation Cup, which I think is the top 4 spots. Grow the club's reputation. So no discipline about this season, having to finish on top of the league or anything like that. But in the next few years, they do want to win the competition and continue to grow and continue to win that. So yeah, I think we'd be fine with that. There's no real concerns. And I don't really have any requests that I'd need fulfilled. So I think that's gone relatively well. There wasn't anything that they set up as being like horrifically bad, but it has actually come out that I'm now the favourite to take over at $1.73 odds, which is interesting, or $1.22 following the interview. So I guess maybe the interview went well. We'll see how that plays out and if they offer a contract. All right, and here we go. We've got our contract offer, which doesn't look too bad, to be honest. It's pretty much the same stuff that we spoke about. So let's just take some of these bonuses out, right? Let's get rid of all of that just to put them over the top. We'll drop it down to 80K a week. Can I get a third year if I do that? No, they're adamant on 2. That's fine. I'll work with that. So it looks like we might have our first job in Africa. Mamelodi Sundowns hire in the mixer to take over in the role. I have sneakily then just thrown in a kit pack as well, just to get that up there. It does look relatively nice, a bit of touch of Norwich about it, but it does look like they're in the Champions League this season. They're in the South African Premier Division. They're in the South African KO Cup. I'm going to say knocked out cup. Looks like they're knocked out the SA Cup and the Super 8. So interesting that some of those cup competitions are already underway, but that's fine. We can continue to work through all that stuff. Here's the part we want to look at. Sundowns hire in the mixer in as manager, which is fantastic. The Lucas Masterpieces Maripi Stadium, 28,900 capacity in Pretoria. Wonderful stuff. Very good condition. Good grass surface. That looks wonderful. See here the away kit also looking relatively sharp. No third kit, but that's fine. If we find one in the next few weeks, I will use it. Legends, Chris Beloy, who's a goalkeeper at Awada. We might immediately put him on our shortlist. For Lazardo, a midfielder, is one of their icons. They've got 2 icons currently playing at the club, which is super interesting. Shepo Mashigo, I think, is the manager that we've actually just taken over from, so we'll add him to the staff shortlist as well. Martins Wayne, also one of the active squad. So they've got some decent players there. Good rivalries against Supersport United. Other rivalries against Orlando Pirates, Kaiser Chiefs, and Amatucks, who I think University of Pretoria. They must be a local side playing in the lower divisions. Pretoria is the region, which means Supersport will be the main rivals that we've got. They finished last season in 12th spot, so well and truly ahead of them. They've got quite a few players that have got contracts offered. I'm just going to reject all this because if we actually want to keep any of these players, I'd like to kind of hold on to them for the moment. There's a fair few players that have got contracts up at the end of the season, but there is some good potential in there. There is some good current ability in that group as well, so we'll have a look at that in a little while. Now, they want us to create a tactic. So magic of editing, I'm going to show you what I'm going to try and do, which is this 4-3-3 that you can see here. Look, is it the most imaginative? No, but I want to transition. I wanted to do the 4-2-3-1 in Asia, a different shape in Africa. We're going to change it again when we get to North America, again when we get to South America, and again when we get to Europe. So we're kind of doing that in incremental steps, if that makes sense. So it's a 4-3-3 now. Who knows what it might be once we get to North America? Maybe some of these fullbacks push on. Maybe we go to a second man up top. Maybe we do something like that. But we're just going to see if we can take basically the same tactical style and instruction and just change the shape slightly and potentially try and kind of amend and change. We're going to keep the sweeper keeper. I quite enjoyed that. We're going to keep the 2 central defenders. I'll change the fullback roles depending on the depth of the squad. But I want to try and get a halfback working as like that third central defender in possession, and then potentially maybe we transition that to be like a 3 at the back in the future. Not quite sure yet. 2 Mazzalas in midfield. I want to see how those work alongside each other. An inside forward, an inverted winger, and a pressing forward. I thought that front 3 worked really well in China. I want to keep that going. We may change some of these roles depending on who we've got. We've also got the possession-based style. Very similar, just some slightly different roles, some slightly different functions, and of course, just a positive mentality for that one as we try and keep the ball a little bit more. So that's the adjustment. We're going to go with the 4-3-3 in Africa. If it's not working, we may adjust to a 4-4-2. We might change and chop different stuff in and out here and there. We will see about the strength of the squad. Speaking of, some stars to keep an eye out for. Garcia, one of the better players in the club and in the division. He's one that is definitely going to be huge for us. A left-winged player. Plays as an inverted winger. We're going to try and get him working as an inside forward. His finishing's not great, but we can teach that portion of it. His composure is pretty good. His physical ability is tremendous. 16 acceleration, agility, and pace. So he's quite impressive there. He's got some decent technical attributes. It's just finishing that lets him down. If I can teach him that portion of it, I think he's going to be an absolute beast for us. Labisa, 26-year-old full South African international, also 4 stars. Central midfielder on attack. I can already see them being like a Mazzala on support. Has all double figures for the key roles and traits we need him for. And he's got 18 natural fitness. That's huge. I can see him being a big part of our midfield. Some other good players in here, Longwa, Hilela, both teenagers and already amongst the best players in their team already, which is great to see. Longwa in particular can play as that inverted winger on the right-hand side, can maybe play as a 10. We can maybe redevelop him to be a Mazzala in midfield. Maybe he becomes the attacking Mazzala in there. Is a left-footed player, can do quite a bit with the ball, still only 18, so it's a good time to try and teach them that role. Layla, who you've seen here, might be better positioned to either playing up front, leading the line, not quite suited to being a pressing forward, or could play as the inverted winger on the right-hand side. Again, great pace, good technical ability, good mental attributes. Definitely one we could try and build the team around. There's further potential at the back with Magalula here. You can see 5-star potential player for a 21-year-old defender. Not terrible at all. Can play as a stopper, which is always good to see. He's left-footed, which is fantastic. Can't really do that much with the ball, but we could teach that, maybe get them on a specialist regime to improve their passing and their first touch. Mentally tremendous, physically pretty much everything that we need them to do. A couple other 2.5 and 3-star players there with high potential. Decent keeper, some decent defenders for the level. I'm pretty happy with the squad. There isn't anyone jumping out as being like particularly weak. And in the reserves, they've got a few like high potential players as well. So potentially we'll go through the squad, kind of bring up some of these high potential guys, the guys that really have like that 5-star potential, I think. Try and get them in the first team. We might do the same for the under 21s and for the under 19s as well. Not too much going on down there, but definitely a lot to work with, and definitely a lot of players here that I think we can try and adjust and change and get the most out of. That's without even really looking at like the South African national sides. Like who within these squads could we potentially look at trying to bring back in? Either from some of the international clubs or poaching them from Kaiser Chiefs or Orlando Pirates. Like there's a bunch of different players in here that are playing at a good level. Look at this guy, 1.54 billion rand, 101 cap international at Manchester City. Like he looks to be an absolute beast. Previously played in Shanghai, so I might have come up against him at one point or another. Might keep an eye out for him throughout the course of the save and the series. Whole bunch of fantastic stuff to get through. And the good part as well is that the new season hasn't quite ticked over yet. So it only finished at the end of May. I guess the new season will start somewhere around the end of this month when the beginning of preseason takes place. So we can actually go through our entire preseason, our off-season, whatever else. And I might even try and bring that to you guys in this episode. We might jump forward again, do our off-season, introduce you guys to the squad in full, go through our preseason results and see how we're shaping up for the season ahead. Again, it'll be another big jump. It'll be a good few months in the game universe and probably a good couple of hours in real life as well. But magic of editing. Let's move forward to that now. All right, so welcome back. Full disclosure, it's about 3 hours later, so we've played quite a bit of the game. It's going to be a hell of an edit that we've got to get through, but we are at the start of the regular season, which means we've done the full off season. We've got a whole bunch that I'm going to try and bring you as quickly as humanly possible. Firstly, the squad overall, we've made some changes. We've brought some players in, sent some players back out. I'm keeping it to a tight squad of 20, which you guys can see on the screen here in front of you. I'll go through some of the individual players in a moment. I won't go through every single one though, mainly because I haven't figured out how international players work in the league and also in the African Champions League as well. So that'll be something that we keep an eye on throughout the course of the game and series. I thought we were actually in it this year. Apparently not, unless it just hasn't loaded yet. Maybe it takes place after January or something like that. It loads in the new Champions League competition. We will see how that one comes through. We haven't started our league campaign yet, that you'll bring that to you in today's episode or in the first games. We did play some of the South African Super 8 Cup though. So if we have a look at our preseason results, they've all been excellent. We've done really, really well playing against largely South American sides, a couple of local teams before our first cup fixtures, which were excellent. We did play Cape Town Spurs in the Super 8 quarterfinals, beat them comfortably, no real dramas or concerns there. We then drew Orlando Pirates in the semi-finals. And in the first leg, if we have a look, like we kept them to no shots. We had 24 shots, 12 on target. So that I thought was excellent. We did lose on penalties, so they did knock us out. But even the return leg, we were still the better side. Like 27 shots, 11 on target, 3.53 XG, and not able to win. And it took penalties for them to get past us. So I was pretty happy with that. Like I think we're at a good point, given that we have changed the team quite a bit, where we are competing with arguably one of the best two sides in the division. So I think that really bodes well for the season ahead. And then again, like we've had some huge results against some big, big teams from South America, like Brazil and Argentina and Uruguay and places like that. So I'm actually really happy with how preseason has gone. Transfers are in and out. We've been relatively busy. We have raised via sales 13 million Rand, which is fantastic. We have purchased to the value of 24 million, which is great to see. We did spend a bit of money on one particular player, but I think that actually technically counted towards last season. I'll introduce him in a moment. But given the finances on hand, like we're doing really well. 185 million in the bank. In the transfer budget, we've still got 239. We were able to offer our playing squad the highest bonuses for cup wins and for the league win itself. So, and we're at 1 million under the wage budget as well, which is really the only thing that I've got to keep an eye on this season. It's the only requirement of the job itself. So far, so good. It's not billions like it was in China, but so far we're doing relatively well. Now, as far as the league is concerned, we're going to have a look at the season preview coming up first. We are second favourites. Kaiser Chiefs favourites to retain their title from last season at $2.25. We're at $3.75. We've actually overtaken Orlando Pirates. We were behind them at the start, and some of the signings that we've brought in have helped us quite a bit. I'm going to focus on the big ones that you guys can see here, because we have gotten to a point now really where it's kind of just ourselves and Kaiser Chiefs making up the media dream 11. This Shalembe guy, we'll talk about him more in a moment as well. But in that backline, Nyeleka, who is one of the players that joined us this season from Cape Town Spurs, wanted to leave. We were able to pick him up for 8 million, next to no cost for what he is, which is a 19-year-old defensive midfielder / central defender, which is where we've been playing him. 4-star current ability, 5-star potential. He immediately slots in at the back there and becomes arguably our best defender. I think he's been absolutely fantastic so far in pre-season. So got him on the cheap. He looks to be one that could push on and really become a 5-star player in the division, which would be fantastic. Alongside him, this is the guy that we spent a bunch of cash on, Malazi, who's joined us from Shenyang Urban, funnily enough. We just went in and paid his release clause, which was 200 million Rand. We had it. I paid 50 million and then 150 up front. They accepted that. He was originally on a free transfer, has played a little bit at Shenyang, was excellent in the first division last season for them, makes the jump across to us, and again, immediately becomes one of our best players. 4-star current ability at 20 years of age. No reason that he can't have a great season for us and move up to being like a 5-star fullback in this side. Already a full international as well for South Africa. So fantastic to see him in there. Another new signing, Vusi Sito, has joined. He comes across from Bidvest Wits. Only 19 years of age. He's going to play as like our midfield anchor here as the halfback. Can do pretty much the entire role already despite his relatively tender age. Again, didn't pay much money, $10 million plus a player exchange for a player that already had on the transfer list. He's had a couple of good seasons, maybe 2 years ago, his best year as a 17-year-old for Wits. I think he's going to be fantastic for us as well. And again, his preseason form so far, and even in the cup competition, 7.27 for the 3 games we played. Absolutely wonderful stuff. So very excited to see him join. Because they don't play with wingers, I think our wingers would be involved in the conversation, but Cozy, Longwa. You'll probably hear me just use surnames for this one because they're a bit tough. I'm just going to go Longwa and pretend the H is silent. But again, 19 years of age, can play at the 10. We're using him as an inverted winger on the right-hand side. We have also been using him as a Mazzala on attack as well throughout preseason. And again, he's been doing really well. 7.75 as an average rating against some very good teams in preseason. Exceptional stuff from him. 13 goals in that period as well. So chipping in quite a bit. 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential, still only 19. I think he could jump up and be an excellent player for us. And then we did actually have two other players that were in the starting 11 for the Media Dream 11 as well. They have disappeared because of new signings and changes around the division. First one, Promise Malomo, 25-year-old that jumps across from Jomo Cosmos. He was wanting to leave. He'd asked to leave their club. His release clause was 6.25 million. We've triggered it. And he comes across and was arguably, I think, the striker in the Media Dream 11 before the season started. And he should be excellent for us. I don't know 100% if he's going to start every game for us. He's more of a poacher than the kind of pressing forward role we want. Martin Zwane, effectively like the exact same type of player. He's been in and around the Media Dream 11 as well. These two could change relatively regularly. I'm going to start with Malomo, given that we brought him in and give him the first opportunity, but another player that I think is excellent for this divisional level and really could be doing a lot better. And then the other one was Shifawa Garcia, who's a left winger. I think if there were wingers in the Media Dream 11, he'd be in it. And again, another player that's done fantastically well through us during pre-season. In the 14 friendly appearances he's had, scored 10 goals, got 8 assists, albeit kind of stat padding a little bit, playing against some lower league sides, but a goal in the Super 8 tournament as well. He's been fantastic for us and is already comfortable as that inverted winger. Not quite as good at finishing as I think we've been trying to get him throughout pre-season, but he'll get there. I'm really happy with this starting 11, and I think domestically, it's already ready to start competing for league titles and stuff like that. And that's what we'll aim for this year. The challenge will be seeing what the step up is like going to that continental competition. And even then, once we start building up our reputation, we've got good money in the bank. There's a whole bunch of players of South African heritage that are playing internationally. There's a whole bunch in China, some in North America, some in Europe. Once these guys start looking at moving clubs or get transfer listed or whatever else, I think we're going to be in a good position to try and bring them, a few of them across anyway. Some of these wages we are priced out of, but quite a bit. I don't think we can really go above 400k as far as Rand is concerned, but there are still some good players, some like 4.5-star, 5-star players that we could potentially bring across and really turn into, great quality players that are going to be fantastic for us in this division. So I'm excited. I think we've landed in the right spot. I'm really keen to see how we go throughout the course of the season. We have been using our attacking instruction just to try and get that familiarity up. It is super intense in terms of the press. I'm noticing the midfield is getting quite tired quite early, but otherwise, everything's been really good. We've got that possession-based style there if we need it, if we have a lead to defend. We haven't used it as much in preseason though, so familiarity still to come with that one. But start of the season, we're at home. Jomo Cosmos were a top 4 side last year, so it's a big test for us. We're just going to see if we can carry on our excellent preseason form and pretty much jump straight into the match. So looking at the two lineups, we of course lost our last game out, but otherwise competitively we've been very good, playing that 4-3-3 style that we're adjusting to. They're playing a 4-1-4-1, which means they'll probably have deeper overlaps or deeper 2v1 situations, but I'm hopeful once our wingers get forward, we can get goal side of those midfielders and really put some pressure on in wide areas. A couple of teams have already played a few games, so we do want to try and get off to a good start. And first highlight inside a minute here starts from the goal kick for the Cosmos. And we've recovered possession nicely in the defensive areas. These are the overlaps I'm talking about. The wing-backs getting forward. Great ball towards back stick, and Garcia just powers one to the far post. Excellent, excellent football. Exactly what we spoke about. Getting into wide areas, working those 2v1 situations, dragging defenders. And this is why we paid 200 million for Malati, because he has pretty much walked down the right-hand side, put a great ball back stick. Our kit looks very much like Brazil's kit, if you haven't already picked up on that. And Garcia, who we spoke about as not being the best finisher, but being a really important player for this season, opens his league account and immediately pushes us up into the top 6 spots, which is fantastic. Wide free kick, Nyeleka to take towards backstick. It's cleared away by the Cosmos defence. Their real first chance to come forward here. Sitol does very well and does actually force a little bit of a change in possession there. We have given it back, though, relatively quickly. Malomo was on his toes there trying to press the defence. Long ball forward, cut out by Malati again, who's been very, very busy. Hongwa, lovely reverse pass to Garcia. He goes near post. That's that press. That's that aggressiveness. That's having that extra body at the base of midfield, really coming to help us out quite a bit. Malati, excellent there. Hongwa does phenomenally here in midfield. Reverse pass to Garcia, slams that one home. It's an excellent finish on his wrong foot too. He's not left-footed. And he's potentially, if he can get a right-footed goal, which is his favoured foot, on for a perfect hat-trick here inside at the first half. We're going to throw a demand more shout out with about 10 minutes to go in the half. If we get a third one, that should pretty much kill off the tie. And I'm not sure how big a goal difference will be throughout the course of this season with the Kaiser Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, but we want to try and get off to a good start. Ball forward here, first possession forward. First time we've seen Cosmos get into the goal, get into their 18-yard box, and they've come out with a goal as well. We'll check it out here in 3 dimensions. Demand More Shout has just gone through. It's Koza on the wide left area. Back to Fortune, and they just hook a little ball over the back there. Magalula and Nayaleka, our defensive partnership, not alive to it, and it's Solomon, the striker, who slides one home near post. Maybe this won't be as comfortable as I thought, but it is their first shot on target that we've seen. Wide free kick here. Lelo goes towards back post. It pinballs around, and somehow we managed to just knock that one over as the halftime whistle goes. 2-1. So at halftime, 11 shots, 8 on target, 1.71 XG, and 54% possession. For the Cosmos, 2 shots, 1 on target, 0.51 XG, and 46% of the ball. We are going to say, I'm pleased with how things are going. Keep it up. And as we always do, we'll give it to the hour mark before we look at any subs and changes. I would have liked this to have been a bit more comfortable. The ball pinballs around there in the 18-yard box as the highlight resumes. Nayaleka may put it back in. Comes back out to Magalula. I think it's Magagula. Let's go with that. Not Magalula, even though that rolls off the tongue much cleaner. Nice little possession here at the base of midfield. Ball in behind for Garcia. Here's the hat trick, and he's just put it near post, and the keeper was equal to it. But again, good passage of play, trying to draw men out, trying to keep it at the base of our midfield there. We're through the hour mark now, so we're going to hit pause. We've got 2 players not playing well. Malomo still not settling that well, so Zwane will come on for him. Layla also not playing that well. Jodwana will come on for him, another player who's been excellent during the preseason. And I might hold off on that last sub just because there's a couple of players whose condition isn't great. We might give that one till the last 10 minutes. We'll tell them we've got faith in them. Let's see if they can't restore that 2-goal advantage we had from earlier. I've also thrown out a Demand More Shout as we continue into the second half. Nyandu with the throw in here. It's going to be cleared back to Magagula. Reverse pass here to Nayaleka, who has picked up a yellow card, but should be okay. Malazzi on the overlap. Got plenty of time to pick out a cross. It's closed down well by the defence. Good recovery there in midfield. It recovered to Garcia, and he's gotten his hat-trick goal. If he hits this right-footed, it is a perfect hat-trick. We will check it out in 3 dimensions. He's got a header. He's got a left-footed finish. How has he found the finish with this one? It's a great press there from Labisa. And then put back in Jodwana across to Garcia. He's gone left-footed again, so not quite the perfect hat-trick, but a wonderful, wonderful performance from the winger on the day. And that might be enough for us to give him a bit of a spell with 10 minutes remaining. Goal kick here coming forward for the Cosmos. If we can make it 4, we'll be in great shape to start off the season. Reverse pass here has got Solomon goal side. He's closed down well by the defence, and we do get it away. Jodwana now, as the highlight comes to an end on the right-hand side. We might make that last sub. Let's give bit of a standing ovation to Garcia, who has been fantastic today. Bambo will come on for him, or Mbabo. I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. But again, we're just going to power on through. And with 10 minutes remaining, let's use Demand More Shout. Let's see if these subs can't get involved and try and get their own names on the score sheet. 3 additional minutes to be added on, which we're through now. We're actually through it by a fair way. And the referee calls full time. So a 3-1 victory at home to start off the season. Excellent performances. And 9.1 for Garcia. He will get the Man of the Match award. 17 shots, 12 on target, 53% of the ball for the Sundowns. Cosmos, 3 shots, 1 on target, 0.57 XG, and 47% of the ball. I'm going to say very pleased with the result in your performance. And it was excellent. Let's be entirely clear. Puts us up in a 5th spot with the game in hand. We would be one of no Platinum teams so far to win their first 2 games if we do get a good result next time out. But an excellent, excellent way to start the season. We'll give Garcia a bit of praise given the way that he started. And it is worth noting that both the Kaiser Chiefs and Orlando Pirates both won their opening games of the season. It would not surprise me to see those 2 continue to push towards the top of the table, even though it is relatively early in the year. All right, so we actually covered off a tremendous amount. I will get the logo for Mamelodi up in that corner by the next episode. I just don't want to do spoilers for the thumbnail. I want you guys to kind of come on this journey with us. But we've gotten through a tremendous amount. I've had a good session, a good weekend session to get through and get ourselves familiarised with the new team. Check back in later this week. There'll probably be an episode around Thursday or Friday to see how we've gotten on in the season. Maybe potentially toward the end of the season if there is no Champions League or if we've got big cup competitions and stuff coming up. I'll try and bring you guys all of that as well so you can familiarise yourself with the new team and the new squad. If you want to help celebrate, please drop a like on this video. It helps us get higher in YouTube search results when people look for Football Manager content, or alternatively just subscribe to the channel. You'll be kept up to date on all of our future videos. But more than anything, as always, I just appreciate you watching along with me. I've been Sean, and I'll see you all again in the mixer.